Hey everyone, this is Brad Roybal and this is another video for Teals. This time we are going over the second part of Lab 2.2, which is basically using loops to help us build a row, or I think it's more aptly is really building a brick wall, because that's kind of what we're going to be seeing over here on the right. So to go ahead and get into this, the first thing I've done is I've taken just a duplicate of this code and I placed it over here to the right. It's kind of going to help me. It helped me a little bit with testing, which of course I don't need to do now, but it also helped me just in case if I make any mistakes later, I can kind of take this code that I already have and just, delete whatever I mess up over here and continue on. So the first thing I want to do is you can see when we build this first layer of bricks, this next set that we want to create, we want to start just a little bit offset. So I'm going to move my sprite just so you can sort of see where it's going to go. But it's basically going to go to start right here in the middle of that next row of bricks. So it's going to start just above, because we do start in the left-hand corner of our bricks, but we also want to move our sprite up, and then we also want to have it right in the middle. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my position. So I want to move horizontally and vertically, so I'm going to change Y. I can leave change Y by 10 because I'm going the full length of a brick, because I'm ending on the bottom right portion of my brick when I'm done with this row right here on the bottom. And I want to set X to negative 230. The reason I'm setting it to negative 230 is because, of course, when we start, we set our X coordinate to negative 240. And given that the length of a brick is 20 in the horizontal, I want to set it right to the middle, which would be, basically 10 steps offset from where I start in the first place. So you can see I'm going to go ahead and clear it. And I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick by setting this clear apart. And then I am going to start my code. I'm going to clear one more time and do it like this. So you can see now my sprites ended right here. Basically what we would want to do is I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to set duplicate and put my code right here. So if I go ahead and clear, set it to our starting position. Now, as you can see, it's going to do this first repeat block where it draws an entire brick row. Then I'm going to set my X to negative 230, change my Y by 10, and when I click this, it's going to do the first action and it's going to do a second action. So now I have that second layer of bricks, again, by just taking the code that I've already have and working on it down here. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to repeat what I've done here, because of course now that I've offset it once, I don't need to offset it twice. So I'm going to say I'm going to change my Y by 10 because I want to go up again, but this time I'm going to set my X coordinate to negative 240. So now that I have this, I'm going ahead and clear, go back to X negative 240, negative 180, and now it's going to repeat where it does this first block portion that's right here. It's going to do that first layer of bricks. I'm going to set my X to negative 230 and change my Y by positive 10 so it goes up. It's going to draw that second layer of bricks. Then it's going to go back to that full negative 240. So again, it's starting on the left side of the screen right here, or left side of the stage. And then I basically just want to do this whole thing over and over again until my entire screen fills up. So I'm going to go to Control. I am going to use that same repeat block that I used before. And because the entire length of my screen is 360 in the vertical, I want to do this same thing since, again, the height of every brick is 10. Since I'm doing it twice, I basically want to do it, I believe, 18 times. So we're going to go ahead and try it like this, and I'm going to go ahead and set everything up perfectly. And if I click, so you can see I have basically, and I'm going to explain while it's going, I have two actions here. I have this first repeat loop where it's drawing one layer of bricks. I'm changing that X coordinate so I can offset it, and I'm doing that exact same thing over again. And then after I'm done doing it once, I go ahead, change my X coordinate and the Y by 10. I change my X to negative 240. And then I repeat that same thing. So I go through that entire step of creating two rows of bricks 18 times. So you can see it's going and it's filling up the entire screen. I'm just going to wait until it's done. So you can see it's all done now. It's filled up the entire screen. I think if we were doing this in a normal way, or I wouldn't say normal, but if we were doing this in sort of the old way that we've already learned, we would basically be setting down this, move 10, 20 steps, turn 90, move 10 steps, turn 90. And we would basically be copying and pasting that and repeating it, a large amount of times. And if we make any mistake in that order, we'd end up with a really weird row of bricks. But since we have these repeat loops, we can take code that we've already written and we can basically just repeat that. And it makes it really easy, not just for, the sake of being able to look at it and read it a little bit easier, but also so we don't make as many mistakes while we're doing so. And kind of the one cool thing about this lab too is that I don't even think I've done, sort of the most efficient way of writing this code. One challenge I do have for students and teachers watching this is to kind of try the best way to do this, so that you can kind of come with the least amount of code possible. One area of improvement I think we can make is possibly setting it so that instead of having this repeat 24 twice in this code, because again, I kind of did this so that I could set the X properly, and so I could set it properly in both cases, because I do negative 230 and negative 240 slightly differently. But I think there's a better way we can do this where it says, hey, you know what? We already have this action right here, this repeat 24 that is just basically ripped from right here, and just put a repeat 2 above that. And another area of note too is later in your lessons, you're going to learn a little bit about custom blocks down here, right? Where we basically take and we can put these actions right here. So like, let's say this repeat 24, and I could call a custom block a layer of bricks. This could be the name of the block. And we could basically cut this code down so it's much cleaner. And then if we ever do want to make a change here, instead of having to make this change twice to this repeat 24 and this repeat 24, I can sort of just take that and edit it inside this mega block, and it would make my code much more readable by bringing it down to one single block. But that, students, is how you complete part 2 of Lab 2.2, which is Yellow Brick Road.